All right, give me 1 second here.
Not a problem, brother.
Yep. How's it going?
It's going all right, brother. How you doing?
Not too bad. Aside from wants human make me want to drink myself to a coma, but
Yeah, what the hell was that? I watched I was able to watch like 5 minutes of you playing through the game before I had to head
it's so
inside.
bad.
Absolutely nothing like either the first or even the second trailer that you showed off for us on Wednesday.
The
Like
best
this
I can
was
describe that game is a asset flipped, cheap money maker, Chinese company ran game. Oh my god, it's so soulless, dude. The voice acting is horrible. It's soulless as well. No emotion. Um, like the ore that you gather up, it's so. It tries to be something it's not because you can tell through looking through the cracks. It is a typical MMO with wannabe survival mechanics, but they're not exactly there. Considering that all of your resources are literally right in front of you and you can mine them and craft them right on the spot.
yeah. I came away thinking, there is a term that's frequently used with these gacha games. It, and it's a long, it's been in use for a long time in advertising. It's referred to as a bait and switch. And I cannot help but think, the folks responsible for making this game, I have to wonder how many of them were even actually a part of the project when they were putting together the trailers for it.
There's no
Especially
way.
that first dark toned, this is going to be a body horror, Cthulhuan nightmare,
Right.
Lovecraftian kind of horror MMO thing. And the end result looked like if you had taken, what was it that you said to me when we were talking about it? It's like Fortnite crossed with Fallout 76, but even
Yeah, pretty
shittier.
much.
Um, yeah, I can't say is I'm surprised that
Here,
this
I'm
is
just
what
gonna
we're.
do this just for the effect, just to take in what I had witnessed in the game, and it's so bad, dude. Like the voice acting alone, I even just skipped it. I was like, you know what, I've had enough. Yeah, I'm not wearing
Was
pants.
this
I'm
from
laying
your
around.
playthrough yesterday?
Yeah. Let me skip ahead a little bit. As soon as I get to the dialogue, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck?" But you see that rock I just passed? Those are literally scattered
Yeah,
everywhere. It's so noticeable that it hurts. Like that rock I just
and
passed
those
real quick.
are
Those are
yeah, those are
resources
clearly
you gather
marked
for
as
ammo.
resources. So then, where's the survival or the challenge element?
I don't know. You seen there was another one.
Literally every step of the way.
By the way, you see those square houses? Those are
Clusters
player
of them.
houses. Those are
Yeah, I
player
remember you
houses.
telling me
Yeah,
yesterday that those are like on top of each other.
literally.
It really does just completely mess
There's
up
another
the
one.
any chance of immersing yourself in.
There's
This is
another.
a
Look, another copper
gritty.
ore.
It's a gritty. You must survive and
Yeah,
find a
this
way to make
game's
it
coming
through.
off
Well, I'm sorry, that doesn't.
way too much of a MMO vibe. Like it gives it off way too much, like World of Warcraft or the other ones that are like it. Mm-hmm.
It
That's
feels.
my
I gotta
look
say,
at
it
that.
feels
Look at those
weird.
fucking houses everywhere, dude.
This feels weird seeing
Look at them.
hearing you on screen double vision. This is just not.
This is so
It's not
bad.
impressive. Okay, riddle me this. How
Look,
does
more
something like
rocks.
this get? And they're clustered. Holy shit! How does something like this get all kinds of attention and praise and marketing?
I
And
don't
it's
know.
absolutely, just from what I can see, total dog shite. Yet something as genius or as brilliant as the fan made Metroid 64 gets a cease and desist and gets shut down by Nintendo.
I see this being shut down within a year. They're gonna make what money they can for microtransactions and cosmetics, and then they'll shut it down with what money that they can get from it. Like they'll get as much as they can before people realize, hey, don't
Right.
don't
It,
play this
it,
game.
it's a quick field harvesting operation.
Oh yeah, there was no love or effort put in this game.
No, I mean, such cheap crap. Look, I understand. I'm not a game developer. I'm not a programmer. There's no way in God's green earth, if you gave me an unlimited blank check and a full calendar year to see what I could produce, I would come nowhere near even this
Look
because
at
my.
this. I'm conversing with another character that doesn't have voice acting. They didn't even bother to give the side quests voice acting.
Oh, so we didn't just skip over it. There was literally no voice
There's no voice acting for that character. There's side quests. Now watch what happens when you go into full dialogue with voice acting. Watch how soulless it is.
Good. You made it. I'm guessing that gun served you well. Yeah, this was the quickest way to bring you here. These towers are even supposed to let you travel between worlds, but I haven't been able to figure out how. Maybe you'll have more luck. Either way, I'm glad it got you here. Deadsville is the perfect place to dig up info on the area. That merchant over by the...
That's AI generated. That's AI generated. I guarantee you. I recognize that voice. And I'm going to tie this in. Substack utilizes AI voice generation to allow for its articles to be read aloud to readers if the writer or publisher of a Substack newsletter opts in to allow for AI production of
See, I didn't think it was.
voiceover read aloud.
I didn't think it was AI, but the fact that you picked that up. Wow.
Yes, I recognize that female voice because it's one of the preset options when you are a publisher on Substack. I think it's Amanda 2. It may be Amanda
Wait,
2
hold
or
on.
3.
It gets better. Hold
I
on.
know that voice.
Let's watch when we voice with the other, or when we conduct dialogue with the other voice acted character here in a second.
Come take a look. Anything that catches your eye, I'm always open for business.
That I think that's another AI because there's and again I would refer to a different newsletter program or outlet called Medium. They also utilize AI audio presentation, and you can choose what are known as regional flavors for voice actors for the voice that's displayed or utilized in the production of the audio presentation. And one of the flavors you can choose is American Southwest. That's what that sounds like to me.
Huh.
Never seen you before, but you're a mayfly, ain't you? Oh, thank goodness. I could really use some help. My name's Claire Lay. Normally, I'm a wandering merchant, but now I'm stuck here. I sent a team over to a place called the...
Okay, that may actually be, that may not be the preset American Southwest. That may be the Louisiana Patois, which is a premium preset that users on Medium can utilize. You got to pay like $5 a year for the premium set.
To collect some...
But I'm sorry, I know this. I've come into contact with this shit too frequently
Look
over
at
the
all
course of the last
fucking pre-built
2
homes.
years.
Oh my god.
Wait, they're pre-built, so you don't even have to like patch
No, they
them together
built them
as
there. They're
there?
pre-built, but they set them there.
Oh,
You've seen that, right?
Yep.
Hold on.
It's like they've made kind of a like a shanty town there. It looks like.
Yeah, those are all homes that people like basically set there. They're all like piled onto each other.
Now, if it's a okay,
The slowest motorcycle I've ever seen in my
there's
life.
one way I can justify that, and it's if you've got a small collection of players who get together and they're like, look, we're going to RP within the confines of this MMO, that we are a community, that we are a guild or something, and this is our territory.
I get that. In an RP setting, it would make sense.
Right.
This is not RP. And Fallout 76 deletes your stuff when you leave the server. Like, why are their homes still there?
Right, they're permanently settled down. How many servers is this game running off of? Because it's all glommed together. Okay,
but they're
still,
all
if you leave the server,
really
I get
pop though. It's weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, look at this. Oh, hold on. Right when I get up to this, like this right here, look at that. You see how many there are?
Dude, it looks like the streets of San Francisco or Seattle. Homeless encampment.
There's more of them copper ores right next to me, right there. Oh, really?
Like great
I
big glowing
couldn't
piles.
tell with all the fucking camps
It's
everywhere.
it's digital San Francisco.
These are all player camps.
Just as useless too. Anyway, sorry. I gotta grab
This is
another
so
cup of
bad.
coffee. I'm listening, but I gotta grab
Yeah.
a coffee.
Oh my god.
Our destinations.
Uh, not
It
really
really
much happens
does.
here.
It makes me wonder
Yeah, this has
when cash grab games like this
lazy.
go out. When cash grab games like this go out, how many people jump on thinking, I can see what this is. If they develop an internal economy, I can try to manipulate or take advantage of it and make some side cash on my own.
Well, like, okay, look at this foundation here that I'm right next to. That's all player built right there. Like that's not pre-built. That's player built. Somebody's building like a big like house or whatever. I'm lazy and I built a fucking MMO game written all over it. Look at this. More pre-built homes.
Can't even traverse the environment with all that shit in the way.
That was another player home right next to being developed. I don't know if you've seen like the roof missing and stuff when I was driving by it.
Now, I'm not a big fan of, nor do I play a lot of MMOs myself. I've only ever played one, and it was for a very well. No, sorry, I played two. Both of them I only played for a very short while. One of them was EverQuest, way back in the day. EverCrack.
More
I proved
ore.
I never proved to be very good at playing that game. Um, and then there was an MMO, sort of MMO element to Dragon Age Inquisition. There was a multiplayer mode that was more sort of group
Speaking of which,
quest
I got that
based.
installed.
Oh, you did. You did get Origins.
Yeah, I just haven't played it yet, but I do have it installed.
Okay.
I'll be
Yeah,
playing it
definitely,
here at some point.
definitely start with Origins. It's a great game. And it's one of
Pretty
the
sure it was
for
Origins I installed.
its time period. Origins was one of the better written story driven RPGs of its era. Even though it was not what a lot of folks thought of classically as a Western style
Yep.
RPG, it was more of a CRPG. Um, Especially when you were able to utilize a tactical pause kind of playset where you could pre-plan your character, your party members' movements and
You could
actions,
stop time.
and then
Yeah.
execute it. They really capitalized on that mechanic for Origins, or sorry, for Inquisition. Totally missing in Dragon Age 2, which is part of why 2 stands really separate from the other Dragon Ages bookending it. But when I am faced with a game like that where they have you can pause and plan your next maneuvers, I enjoy having that mechanic or that setup available when I want to play the game on a higher difficulty. If I want a greater challenge in terms of combat is more deadly, then I would like to have the opportunity to try and utilize strategy to meet the challenge. If I can't
Right.
just brute force button mash my way through, which I prefer not to, sometimes, depending on the game, then I want to be able to use effective strategy. But that's also why I'm terrible at real-time strategy games because I am the sort who,
Oh, I
if I'm
love
in a rush,
RTS.
I get a little flustered. Yeah, I mean they're enjoyable, but man, I suck at them.
That was another thing. Like every time you drive through like a territory, it'll let you know whose territory it is. So like their plot and where their like land is. And you can't build like completely on top, but pretty close. Look
It
at
just
the
looks
fucking
like a
house,
clustered
dude.
mess.
Oh, look at
Jesus.
But like even like when she's talking,
Oh,
her voice had or her face has like no animation at all to express her
yeah,
emotion.
there's nothing there. It's like you're dealing with a digital doll.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. They're campsites. They're not houses. They're just campsites.
Kind of brings a whole new meaning to the
Everybody
term
happens to put a
campsite. What the
fucking
heck?
campsite here. Look at this shit. This is so fucking bad, dude. Look at all of them.
Hi, buddy.
Don't mind me. Just gonna yeah, like even when I go up the hill, there's more. A little thing here. I guess I ain't doing that. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Oh look, more ore, more copper ore. There's more.
I'll be right back, brother. I gotta get the little
Are
one
they?
down for her nap.
Well, look at that,
Okay.
more copper ore. Oh, what do you? Oh my god, that's a jackpot right there. That's fucking copper ore mine right there. Fucking gold mine of it. More copper ore. You've got to be fucking me. Look at this shit, man. More fucking campsites. Oh my god, dude. They don't stop. Look at this. There's still doing anything. She wanted to come in together. Yeah, this is bad. $2 and 30 minutes wasted. Well, I can't really say it's wasted, but I would have never picked this up again. That was another thing.
And
So,
like you said, I wouldn't necessarily.
like, this chick's like, oh, well, I'll come in with you and help you out, right? But she does absolutely nothing when you're in there.
Yeah.
She doesn't fight off any of the enemies or nothing. She just stands there in your fucking way.
Nice work with rip tankers. I guess you're the real deal after all.
So I'm just shooting the fucking Stardust zombies. That's what they're called, Stardust. Deviations is what they called them. And you'll see, she doesn't do anything. Even though she's supposed to accompany me and help me out.
So did they just like forget to program in any aggression response from this NPC?
Look at it.
Yeah, she's just standing there. Like the girl in fucking Ico. Or Ico, or however you pronounce that title of that game. Now, that was a classic, but holy shit, I hated the fucking...
And then,
you know,
I went
life,
progressing the base and stuff, and, they show off, like, how you can upgrade the guns, which, by the way, there isn't really a big selection of guns. And apparently your starter pistol's a Desert Eagle. Which makes no sense to me. I mean, a 50
Isn't
cal...
a Desert Eagle a pretty powerful handgun?
Yeah, it is. Fucking 50 Action Express. Yeah, it can explode melons, I'll tell you that. That was another player.
How sad is it that the weapon? How sad is it that the weapon once made legendary in the hands of Barry Burton of Resident Evil has been reduced to a starter weapon?
Barry Burton had a revolver.
I thought he had a Desert Eagle.
Mm-mm. Nope, it was a revolver. It was the Magnum.
Oh, my bad.
Yep. The
right. It was a
Eagle
Magnum
was Resident Evil 2.
revolver. That's
You're
right.
thinking, Leon Kennedy had the Desert Eagle.
Yeah, my bad. My memory is shit.
No, I'm just a big fan of Resident Evil. That's all.
Yeah, I played 1, 2, and Nemesis, and I played 0 on the GameCube. I never beat it.
I mean, 0. There were times where you had to fight monsters, but even they were kind of boring in this game. Like, it didn't really do anything else besides shoot blobs at me.
Like there at least looks like it should have been some kind of potential, maybe, but once they got close to deadline and gave up. Oh, okay, the death animation, like it's wobbling and falling down, that looked kind of smooth, but again, it's not impressive.
Then we ran into this thing. Hold on.
Shouldn't have tried to take what was yours. Forgive us. Forgive us. You are truly a great one.
It was like some shit out of Parasite Eve.
Even without their submission. We are still waiting.
I fought this thing, and honestly, it was pretty boring.
That cutscene had potential.
Yeah,
It
but
just seems
when
wasted.
you're a gun nut and you see the miniguns not attached to any sort of like box ammo, it's just the minigun shooting. You're like, okay, but what's actually being fed into this gun? I
Is
don't
this
know.
some Mass Effect shit where they've got a micro block that shaves off miniature
Right.
slivers of metal to be from the end of the gun? I'm sorry,
Right.
but unless you're using the Mass Effect engine there, then that makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's like got some form of energy to conjure up the ammo, but like once you take down its shield or whatever, or like its health, it drops the minigun, and for whatever reason, it's completely oversized than what it should be. And you only chunk like 25% of its health. And then it conjures up like a 50 cal sniper rifle to snipe you with. And then right at the end, it's an RPG that I guess auto loads. But long story short, the fight wasn't that great.
I'm gonna say, I can't even, because I don't know who programmed it. I don't know. I would imagine that it's kind of we're going to treat this like arrows in a Dungeons and Dragons session where no one keeps track of the number of bolts or arrows in their quiver. So we're just going to, hand wave it away. But I am brought to think about, I can't remember the name of it. I just remember the author, James Fearson. He wrote a couple of kind of indie horror novellas, and one of them was entitled "The Bone Bullet," where these creatures had come up out of nowhere, out of like portals in and around a military installation, and they were grabbing, they were coming up with weapons that, when they were felled by a couple of soldiers, soldiers were like, "Well, I don't see. This looks like a weapon based on our own firearms, but there's no magazine, there's no clip. Where are they getting the ammo?" And after they fell one of the creatures and go to do like an autopsy on it, they discover that they've got these like bone-like protrusions in their arms that feed directly into the weapon. They're literally firing pieces of themselves at the soldiers.
Yep.
It was a neat sci-fi
Pretty
horror
cool,
concept. It is a neat concept. What I really feel really bad about is the guy, he wrote those two novellas, and that's been it. He's done nothing else. It's like, dude, you are a decent storyteller. Come back.
Right. Yeah, so I
Like, he's-
mean, I guess this little chunk of the map is what's playable right now. You can already tell I'm done with this game. 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I uninstalled it.
Yeah, I can't blame you. I really can't blame you.
Yeah, man.
And, it's such rampant greed and laziness on the part of many of these game developers and publishers who they're just looking to make a quick buck off of an industry that for the last like 15, 20 years has been slowly but surely climbing up and replacing television and film as the primary source of media entertainment for the core demographic of media consumers between the ages of, I'd say, 15 and 40. Video games have really become the primary place where you're going to find people spending their entertainment dollars. Something you touched on yesterday and brought up, many of these AAA mainstream games coming down the pike, they're coming down at a price line that is exorbitant, between $80 to $100 for a standard issue copy of the game. If you want the deluxe or the collector's edition, or get all the DLC prior to its public release date,
Season passes and all that.
right?
Battle
You're slogging
pass.
out 150. $200, half the cost of a console. If you're playing on console, if you're playing a game on PC, then they're just counting on, well, we're going to have patches, we're going to have DLCs, we're going to have microtransactions shoved so far up your ass that when you smack your lips, you can taste the DLC coming down the road. There was a time, and correct me if I'm wrong, where during the 16-bit wars between Sega, Nintendo, and kind of TurboGrafx, they were kind of on the outsides looking in. When they put out a game, if you found a bug or you found a glitch or something wrong with the game, you could write to the company and tell
They
them
have
the
Discords
problem
for
with
that
your
now.
game. And they would say, oh crap, that's kind of funny. Let's find like Nintendo Power or Game Informer or whoever was around at that time, and let's talk to them and make a joke out of this. And typically
Mhm.
speaking, you had people clowning on it, making fun of it, but they went and said, hey, we're sorry we didn't playtest this thoroughly enough before launch. There's nothing we can do about it now. We'll just let you make a joke of it. And that was the end of it. They didn't try to say, well, let's put out a new edition with a fix in there. Although Street Fight Capcom, I blame Capcom for a lot of this patching and DLC shit. Do you remember when Street Fighter 2 came out for the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis?
No, I don't. I wasn't like the
Okay.
biggest Street Fighter fan, so I was more into Mortal
Back in
Kombat.
I think it was 94 or 95, a couple years into the lifespan of the Super Nintendo, they
Well, I probably wasn't born then. I was born in '95.
okay. Well, they came out with Street Fighter 2. They ported it from the arcade to the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. They
Right.
eventually made an edition for the TurboGrafx 16, but the version that they put out on the TurboGrafx 16 was called Street Fighter 2 Turbo. It included a mode of the game that reduced graphical fidelity in order to speed up the collision detection and gameplay of the actual fighting game. People found this fascinating and they were so enchanted with the higher speed of the game that the TurboGrafx edition started to outsell the Genesis and the Super Nintendo editions of Street Fighter 2. Nintendo and Sega, both companies said, holy crap, we're losing market share all because there's a version of this fighting game that runs a little bit faster. So they petitioned Capcom to publish a new edition on Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo for the Turbo Street Fighter 2 Turbo Edition.
Right.
And so they resold the whole game with this brand new play mode, and they called it Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Fast forward a year later, and the arcade edition, arcades get a new version of Street Fighter 2 with more fighters. Now, mind you, the championship edition only had 3 more characters, but they relaunched yet again on the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis Street Fighter 2 Turbo Championship Edition. Brand new cartridge for each system, sold at maximum retail cost. It sold gangbusters. And Capcom had themselves a pattern here. That they could repackage the same game and resell it multiple times because people wanted the new thing.
Right.
So I blame Capcom for a lot of this shit.
Yeah, but I mean, with active patching and stuff, that's kind of been put in a lot of games, especially like they call them live service games
Yeah,
nowadays.
I hate that phrase. All that
I
means to
mean,
me is, hey, we're going to rush this out to the public so we can start making money right now.
well, the terminology is really early access. So
Yeah, like why would you pay full price for that?
yeah, you're buying a game that's not even finished at full price,
It's not complete.
right?
Buddy, did you need a snack? Hold up, bud. Sorry about the shaky cam, folks, but I'm dad, so our audience thankfully already knows that.
Right.
Sure thing, buddy.
But I mean, when it comes down to like that, I mean, sometimes it's okay. It's it's what am I trying to say? Like I can be reasonable with that. Like I can be
Right, like look, if you put the game out with the understanding up front that hey, we're
yeah.
going to be updating this and improving it as we go. If people know that in advance, I don't think I can complain because people are going into it knowing what to expect.
Yeah,
You set
I
the
mean, if it's a work
expectation.
in progress, it's a work in progress. But like, I have the understanding of an early access game. But if you try to release a game that's not finished and try to sell it at full price, I have a problem with it because
Right,
the game is
because at
not at
that point,
full potential.
right, it's like, well, maybe if you're going to do an early access, maybe don't charge $100 for a fucking early access and letting people get ahead before everyone else when they're playing a game that's quite literally probably fucking. That'd be like me going to a car dealership and saying, "Hey, I'd like to purchase this brand new, you know, Chrysler Town and Country van," and then saying, "Sure, not a problem. Here you go. By the way, power steering is coming in about another month, but you can get into the vehicle now. We'll charge you full price, but you're going to be torquing on the wheel on this thing like you're an 18-wheeler long haul trucker from the 1980s." Dude, I don't have the upper body strength for that. All right, not for a long road trip. I mean, I'm cutting myself a little short. I do okay. I'm an average guy when it comes to upper body strength, but still, the point remains valid. I don't want to be wrestling with my vehicle to drive to work.
Right. I mean, I
Especially
don't
since
know,
I'm
man.
only 12 minutes up the road.
Some people like that. I mean, like lifted trucks and stuff. But like, my thing is, when it comes to games that are early access, like as long as you're constantly patching, listening to feedback, and doing things about the game that are wrong, like then I may okay with that. But like for example, like Tarkov, there's still problems that still persist even though they've been made known that they're a problem.
Yeah,
And then like
and
some of their
that's
problems become bigger problems.
that's the key thing is listening to the customer feedback.
Right. Like now I guess in Tarkov, like the armor is so absorbent to bullets that it's rendering most of the calibers for the guns almost useless. It's like using pellet guns. It's like, okay, your body can endure fucking 50 cal shells being shot at them, or 5.56 or 7.62 calibers being shot at them without breaking ribs. Like what?
If they made real body armor like that, dude, sign me up. I'll buy
Yeah,
it.
no kidding. I mean, if it was like full on dragoon armor, I'd be all for it. But like the
And I'm
thing
not even
is,
a
yeah, I mean the thing is, when it comes to armor like that, it's like it's especially when it's Tarkov, like you're in a survival environment with like mercenaries going head to head against each other between American and Russian PMCs and scavs. I don't see anybody running around with the top of the line body armor. Like, I mean, maybe
no,
some plate carriers or something, but nothing that's gonna full on deck you out. Like you're
no.
not
That
gonna
should
have
be
a
left
full on
for fantasy.
bullet shield, you know.
No, leave that for fantasy games, for God's sakes.
I mean, you got to think, you got to take into account, you're literally hauling this around, running around with it, going from cover to cover. By the time you're wearing something like that, you're going to be out of breath the majority of the time. That's
They
not
should they
counting.
should patch that in.
That's
What's your
not
patch
counting
rating
your
for the audio?
backpack. That's not counting your ammo, your gun, all the other, weight equivalents.
You know what that puts me in mind of, actually? Did you ever play Death Stranding?
I have it, never played it.
There is. I've never played it because I don't have a PS4 or PS5, but I've watched several playthroughs and people
I have
doing,
it on PC.
let's um, where when you are running around, depending on how much gear you're carrying around, you can actually hear Norman start to getting short of breath and his movements on screen become janky and lurching because he's carrying so much weight. That was
Right.
designed into the gameplay mechanics of the game, which is genius, particularly when you consider that game is not supposed to be um, one of the like premier kind of like it's obviously not a shooter, it's not a run and gunner, it's not a looter shooter. It's an adventure game with a heavy emphasis on plot and characterization. Yet the mechanics of that game do implement a survival mindset. And if they're able to do that with a game that is lambasted by so many people in the gaming community as a quote walking simulator, well, then why the hell can't you do that for these massively popular shooting games?
There's a lot of reason for that actually. When it comes to games like Call of Duty and that, they're meant to be called arcade shooters, meaning
Okay.
there's not supposed to be a well, it's a slight stamina bar, but it's not like something that has to involve like your gear on your person, like
Okay.
Tarkov.
So they're
Yeah,
not going for full immersion.
no,
Okay.
no, it's literally run around like a fucking maniac and get as many kills as you can. You know,
Battle Royale style.
well, I mean, depending on the modes, they got team deathmatch, free for all, and all that. Capture
Okay.
or
Some more
not
old
capture the
fashioned
flag,
deathmatch.
but yeah, but it's just
Okay.
deathmatch type stuff. But like Tarkov
Okay.
is more of a looter shooter. So like you're getting from point A to point B, doing a task, gathering loot, and you've got armor, weapons, ammo, everything that has a weight value to it. And the more you add onto your person, which it has like a like a weight ratio of what you can go over, like the threshold, and it will actually stop you. Like you cannot move at all if you go way over it. But like your
Okay.
stamina will go down, but you have stats that you can build up to build like up like your endurance for how much further you can run across something or how high you can jump, or you have like health stats,
Okay.
endurance stats, stuff like that. But all of your armor and
Like
stuff kind of
training.
comes in plays a factor. And the stimulants that you can take to like combat enhancers and stuff. Like they have like
Okay.
adrenaline and weird shit that like they have this one called the Mule where it essentially makes you a fucking Hulk. Not like a monster Hulk, but like in the sense of strength. Like if I have a bunch of
Right.
stuff in my backpack or like my rig or my or yeah, just like my rig, my backpack in general, if I have a bunch of weight on me, I take that stimulant, I can run across the map and get out in no time. But without that
Okay.
stimulant, I'm
So
literally trucking it along and breathing heavy and slowing down and yeah.
okay. So it kind of like it bulks up your shoulders and your back and your lower
Oh
back and
yeah.
upper leg
You
muscles,
become
so you can
ultimate Chad.
all around. Okay. So basically, yeah, you turn into Brock Lesnar.
Pretty
Rah!
much. Pretty much.
That guy could wear that guy could wear a bedroom partner as a condom on a third person. He's a
Yeah.
fucking maniac.
Have you seen his daughter?
Mm-mm.
His daughter looks almost like him. I'm not
Ooh,
joking.
genetics. Genetics did not take a holiday.
No.
Oh, poor kid.
Hold on. You're about to fucking freak out when you see this shit. And you think I'm joking around with this, but this is real.
No, I've seen some freaky shit. So Dude!
That's his daughter, I swear.
Dude!
Hold on.
What the fuck?
Hold on.
I okay.
That's her.
There's
There's other pictures of her.
I'm not going to be a bastard. I'm not going to do it.
It's fucking wild, man.
Nature does
Look,
not like to be tricked or played with. She clearly is descended from that man's genetics, and there should never be any question about it. I
it's
do
fucking
have one.
wild.
I do have one massively joking, inappropriate question to ask, however, and it would be of her mother. How were you not ripped in half giving birth to that creature? Anyway,
Do you know who Brock Lesnar's wife is?
no, I don't.
Do you remember Sable?
Yes, I do.
That's her.
Well,
That's his wife.
okay. She was pretty built herself. She was an
Not that
athletic.
built.
No, she was an athletic woman, but
She wasn't even a wrestler.
no. But my God, like you want to talk about having a genetic lottery. Like you could have either come out looking like mom or dad, and nature and God decided we're gonna make you look like dad. I'd have some questions for the big man upstairs and go, why? could you have been a little nicer about the selection process?
Right.
Yes, that is your nook. Thank you for showing that off. I
It's
mean,
wild, man.
here's the
Hey,
thing,
here's
though.
a picture of him right here.
Do you think anybody's gonna give her shit?
Fuck
Probably
no.
not. I'd be the most polite human fucking being ever. Yeah, people say that there's no such thing as natural selection. Yes, there obviously fucking is. Because
What's up, Triple T?
how else? How else are you going to wind up with these two people coming together? That's nature did not take a holiday, I guess. Nature said, yeah, no, these two people are going to come
See, we
together.
got 4 people watching.
Yes, that is your ice pack. Thank you.
Yo, Shady J, what's going on there?
Greetings and salutations, Shady J to Triple T. Howdy to both of you.
We got 6 people in here watching. What's going on here? You don't really normally get that many.
No, we're usually kind of a quiet show. We get most of our views afterwards, don't we?
About usually.
Don't touch the screen, buddy. It's a touch screen display.
We being sniped by somebody?
I don't know. Possibly.
I don't know. Whatever,
me,
though.
yeah.
More viewers for us, I guess.
So do you want to
Oh,
do you
okay.
want to transition at all, gals?
Probably talking about Paula and them. Louisiana High Red and Kay and whatnot. I was just up there not too long ago.
Okay. Do we want to touch upon at all
Smart Mouth, what's going on?
the absolute abysmal state of fan projects, Nintendo, many of these game companies deciding they're going to be absolute dog shit to player made creations, or because we touched on that a little bit Wednesday. Move
yeah, we were talking about Nintendo taking out, like, doing the cease and desist orders.
Yeah. Stop touching, buddy. It's a touch screen. Okay, you can really mess things up. I'm sorry. Don't growl at me. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we were touching on that. I mean, it's kind of a shame that most of the projects that we know about are getting taken out.
And I'm going to touch on this. I want to bring this up because I was telling you about it before we started the
Oh,
show.
tell her I said thank you.
I've been in a number of retro gaming enthusiast Discord
Right.
servers, and one of them yesterday got nuked from orbit. Um, Not sure why, but there are suspicions, there are rumors that Nintendo themselves reached out to the folks at Discord and asked them to take down the server. Now, mind you, nobody was sharing sources for ROMs or for game files. We were all just talking about games from back in the day that we loved as younger players or that we have discovered thanks to hold on a second. Well, cancel no.
Do you know why that is? It's because they don't know how to like control the fact that people are probably getting ROMs and stuff, and they're losing money. But
And I can look, I understand that there's a certain amount of protectionism there. I get why they want to hold on to as much money as they can. But my counter to that is that many of the games that
appreciate you.
we were talking about in that Discord were games that haven't been re-released or offered on like the Switch store or offered on the Wii store back in the day. These are games that have just been left to rot. They don't
Right.
exist in a new modern format. There's no way to purchase them. If you can find an original copy of the cartridge in question or the disc if it's a GameCube game on eBay, you're looking at sprugging out $200 to $300 for a copy of a game that the hardware doesn't even seem to exist anywhere anymore in order to play the games on.
They don't care as long as it's their property.
Like, look, if you're not going to support or offer any kind of customer assistance to people who want to play these older games, but they can't because the hardware doesn't exist anymore. You don't offer repair for any of the previous hardware. You don't
That and
offer a
it's
new method to
utilized by
play.
emulators anymore anyway.
Right, like, and this is something that troubles me. This this troubled me about the PlayStation Classic, the PS1 Classic that they brought out. What was it, 4 or 5 years ago? Obviously, we're talking about a different company. We're talking about Sony. And the PS1 Classic, the little plug and play device that had 20 games preloaded on it. There were a lot of people in the ROM hack community who designed and programmed these little memory cards that you could plug in, and it would open access to an entire catalog, this giant library of PS1 games that you could play on the PS1 Classic device. The whole reason they were able to get that running was because the PS1 Classic ran on a program known as PSX Rearmed. PSX Rearmed is an emulator that was never sanctioned or that was never authorized by Sony, but they used it to run the PS1 Classic. They took a fan made emulator and put it into their PS1 Classic device. They preloaded only 20 games onto the device to run off of this emulator, and they got butthurt when people figured out, oh, this is the emulator you're running on this piece of hardware. We know how to program a plug and play memory card that can utilize that emulator set, and they sold these memory cards on eBay so that people could
Right.
play a gigantic library of games and have save states available because PSX Rearmed utilized a 4-slot save state, sort of like the SF Frog, the data or SF2000 data frog that I've got that I show all the time, my little retro handheld device. And they were pissed. They're like, no, we're not going to allow that anymore. eBay got served a cease and desist from Sony of Japan and Sony of America. All right, Smart
Take it
Mouth,
easy,
thanks
smart
for
mouth.
popping in.
I don't even know
Let
who
me
you're
wrap
talking
that.
about, Shady. Yeah, no, I mean, as far as that whole argument with like the memory cards and stuff, I remember when that was starting to become a thing. But that's the thing is like when you don't have fail safes in your like technology that can like prohibit something like that, that's your own fault, in my own opinion. If people figure it out, like how can you be mad at them? Give them a fucking job.
Right. At that point, just be like, oh wow, these people they saw what we did. They figured out what we did. Kudos. Are you looking for a place to work?
Right. I would have been like, congrats, you figured out our technology. Now, do you want a place where we're working or what?
Hmm. There was so much potential in, and by the way, Shady J, thank you so much for saying, "May the force be with you," because that's gonna segue me into what I'm hoping we can touch upon at least a little bit while
Oh
we're here,
boy.
while we're culling the nerd. Do we want to continue? Do we want to finish talking retro and game companies and publishers
We
and
can talk about
castle
whatever,
source?
but when it comes down to it, man, it's a big shame that when it comes down to like modern, like now, when it comes to like games trying to be like relived, companies like Nintendo are trying to take them out of the equation. And for what reason? I don't know. It doesn't even serve a purpose for them anymore.
No, and like I understand the whole profit motive thing, but
And even
just
PlayStation, dude, like PlayStation 5, they have this thing called like their classic catalogs for like when you do the premium for PlayStation. They're
yep,
missing so many games, dude.
yeah, I've heard that there's like a ton of there's fans who have said, hey, can you please bring this game
Like
from an
Killzone.
older.
Killzone's not on there. There
Why
was like
is that?
one
That was a
right. There was
that was a
one thing of
really
Killzone, which is like it was like an RTS art or turn-based type game. But I'm like,
Liberation for the
yeah,
PSP.
Liberation. But I'm sitting there going, where's Killzone 1, 2, and 3? And like the main three that are really good.
Yeah, those
PS2
were like
catalog doesn't have
greatest
it.
hits.
PS3 catalog doesn't have it. I'm like, okay, but
The
I don't know.
the biggest blind spot for Sony with this PS5 having classics available is not allowing or bringing the PS2 library, which was gigantic.
Oh yeah,
I
Metal Gear Solid 4 is not even on there. Gun
That's
or
another curious choice. Why?
Guns of the
Guns of the
Patriot.
Patriots.
Yeah, it's not even on there either.
Those were the
They're
PS2
iconic.
catalog. I'm sorry. There's a reason why when people go on Twitter, sorry, X, fucking not, it's Twitter. Just
Oh, I'm
bird's
gonna
not
call
dead.
it Twitter regardless.
People ask all the time on Twitter, "Hey, what was your favorite or what was the best game system from the 1980s onward?" Almost every poll that includes the PlayStation 2 as an option to choose, the PlayStation 2 is selected. I am a Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, PS1 hardcore retro fan. Those are the systems that I played the most back in the day. But the PS2, while I did not have the biggest collection of games, the ones I had absolutely owned my soul during my later high school years and when I was a young adult shortly after getting home from my brief attempt at a stint in the military. The PS2 was the system. That was the one that
Hmm.
brought us such a gigantic collection of JRPGs, first-person shooters, Western RPGs. You had you had the X-Men Legends games. You had Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. You had so many series, so many game series that their birthplace was the PlayStation 2. You had Ratchet and Clank, you had Jack and Daxter, you had Sly Cooper and the Thievius Records. You had
I
platform
wonder if I can
adventure
do
games.
this. But I'm gonna check. I'm gonna try to turn on my PS5 and see if I can mirror it on here. But I was
Alrighty,
gonna look through the catalogs just to show off, like, hey, hold on, maybe I can do it this way.
sure.
I don't know. Maybe it probably ain't gonna work that way.
And the PlayStation 2 had my second favorite Final Fantasy game of all time was released on PlayStation 2. That being Final Fantasy X. I still love that game. Now, it's not my absolute favorite Final Fantasy game that I've ever played. That that honor goes to the Game Boy Advance game Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, and that's only because I sit there. That's like a time killer. That's just between that or Disgaea Afternoon of Darkness. I'm not sure which turn-based strategy RPG I love more. Um, Disgaea, holy shit, you can go down the rabbit hole in that thing. But the PS2 just it was like you said, it's iconic. It is
Mm-hmm.
the historical benchmark for potentialities for video games. It's also where we saw Silent Hill 2.
Trying to
I
think
mean,
here what I can do to. Maybe this will work. We'll see.
I'm like,
Nope.
I don't have the time and money to keep up with modern games, so I don't have a lot of reference points to much
I
of the
can't make the
current.
screen any bigger, but
Oh, that's fine,
this is
brother.
my PlayStation 5 that's hooked up to my Streamlabs. But okay, so like if you go to the PlayStation Store, or not the PlayStation Store, but PlayStation Plus, the premium,
Mhm.
can you at least see that?
Yeah, I see Among Us, NHL 24, Borderlands 3,
All right, so we
Spider-Man,
go to
God of War.
collections. We got the remasters, PS2, or PS1, PS2,
Oh,
PSP, and
they do
PS3.
have five. PSP,
Now
PlayStation, PlayStation 2.
we got Resistance, we got Street Fighter. I mean, we got a decent set of games like
Dude,
Twisted
Star
Metal,
Ocean. Which
Ape
Star Ocean was
Escape,
that?
Killzone Liberation, Siphon Filter, Worms, Doom,
Doom 64. I loved
Oddworld.
Doom 64.
Um, but I mean,
Hey, Borderlands 3.
it's got a decent amount, but like it ends right there. Like it's not all of them. Why?
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's PSP, PlayStation, and PS2. That's their catalog.
How much of the trouble there is licensing?
It has to be something.
That's got to be the only explanation I can think of that you would not have an absolutely gigantic catalog of games to choose from.
All right, take it easy there, Shady. Like I said, you got Ratchet and Clank, but this is the PS3, which this right here should be on the PS2, not the PS3. Hell, most
Wait,
of these should be.
yeah, the second one was PS2, I thought.
Fear.
I only played the first two Ratchet and Clank games, but I really enjoyed them. They were fun.
And then you got all these Lego games. Duke Nukem Forever. Well, yeah.
Which Castlevania was that? Oh,
There
that's
were a
not
couple
okay.
of them.
Okay. Lords of Shadow 1 and 2. Never played either of those.
I mean, they got a decent amount of games, but you're still
It's
missing
still
a
a
bunch.
paltry collection. It's a paltry collection.
That's what I'm saying. They're still missing a whole bunch. So like that's my thing is like, yeah, you got all these games which really ain't a whole lot when you think about it. But like I can go to an emulator and, pull up all the old games that I could still play and, are somewhat optimized.
You know what? One horror game I would really like to see them remaster or make available is The Suffering.
I would love for them to remaster it, but it's on GOG.
Oh, okay.
That
Another reason
and
for me to
Ties
get
of
on.
Bind.
Ties the Bind was okay. The writing kind of fell off a little bit for me.
Yeah, a
I don't
little
know.
bit.
I'm picky, really picky when it comes to the writing in a game, like characters and story. Uh, Given my nature, I can't help it.
Yeah, I
But
mean
it's
it is
also
what it
why,
is.
as much as I enjoy the gameplay loop of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, the story is kind of meh. I'll admit that it's cliche,
Did you
trope
hear they made
riddled.
a tactics game of Metal Slug?
Really?
The game Metal Slug, they made a tactics game for it.
Yeah,
Well,
really.
they have the demo out right now, but they're putting together a tactics like turn-based style game of Metal Slug.
Wouldn't that just be Advance Wars? Sorry, but
Pretty much,
uh,
but hold on.
I'm
You gotta
sorry.
see it
I may not
the
be
way
the
it looks.
most. I may not be the most well versed or deeply knowledgeable in the video game industry and the field of video games, but I have a decent amount of information in my skull regarding games.
Yeah, hold on.
I don't focus on it a whole lot though, because that's not the primary purpose of my channel or my personality online. I'm mostly a genre fiction wonk who talks about books.
Greetings, Commander, and welcome to Metal Slug Tactics, a new episode in the legendary Metal Slug series. In this latest chapter, you will deploy your tactical prowess on the battlefield to help the Peregrine Falcon Squad liberate Sirocco City and its neighboring regions from General Morden's tyranny.
Dude!
Commander, this is a roguelike tactical RPG where each mission will push your strategic skills to the limit. In Metal Slug Tactics, you'll experience an all-new third dimension of the series' iconic run-and-gun gameplay. The renowned Peregrine Falcon Squad. Here they are in their HQ, waiting for your call to action. Every fire team you bring to the battlefield must be composed of 3 operatives.
Yeah, this made me
Take your
very
time to
happy.
evaluate them in the barracks, learn their perks and special abilities,
I
determine how
so
to maximize
want
their
to play
synergies.
this.
In the barracks, you can see the abilities you have unlocked for each operative and review their different equipment loadouts. It's vital that you undertake your next mission with the right tools for the job. The armory is where you can store
my
your
God.
strategic assets and weapons, along with the unlockable weapon mods that can give your squad an extra edge on the battlefield. Choosing which weapons you want to improve will be crucial to your team's performance. All right, the lads and lasses are itching for a fight. Let's stick to the classics and choose Marco, Eri, and Tarma for this mission. And here they go. Once you select your operation zone, you can choose the most advantageous route for liberating the area. Consider your options carefully, since every mission has different objectives and rewards. Experience, money, reinforcements, medals, strategic assets, and more. Here's the battlefield in all its glory, Commander. You can see the mission objectives and your operative stats. Their hit points, how much damage they can take,
I want this game.
action points, how many
Sorry.
actions they can perform in a turn, movement points, and adrenaline, a very important resource that can fuel some crazy special abilities. Click on each operative to inspect their weapons, special abilities, and secondary weapon ammo count. Once your squad is deployed, the action begins. In Metal Slug, we run and we gun, so make sure your operatives move as much as possible to gain damage reduction. Get your lads next to cover and gain even more.
Like I said, the demo's out now.
Is this
That
on
is,
Steam?
until the precious
Yep.
cover gets destroyed. The damage reduction is visible under your operative's portrait.
Okay, I need to
Now
get
that we've
that
covered
client
running, let's talk gunning.
downloaded onto my system.
Every
and get
character
this
has
demo. I
one
need to
action
play
point
this.
which can be used to fire their primary or secondary weapon, or activate devastating special
my God.
abilities.
They even use the
Remember,
animation. They
second-
even use the melee animation from the games.
They have limited
Yep.
ammo. Use them sparingly and
Oh.
prioritize high-value targets like this one. Your operatives will generate adrenaline by running and shooting. Once they have enough, you can spend it on special abilities to wreak havoc on enemy lines.
Makes
Airstrikes,
sense.
bouncing grenades, a road rage-fueled motorbike, as well as more subtle yet tactically priceless abilities like Marco Salvo, which allows any operative to fire their weapon twice.
This
Whoa,
game.
what just happened? Well, that's a sync, and it's how we win battles, by working as a team. Attack any hostile belligerent while one of your teammates has a line of fire on him, and watch the magic happen. Syncs are free damage and generate a lot of adrenaline, and if you want to dominate the battlefield,
Combo.
you'll need to maximize them. From carefully choosing your
Kinda like
operative's
this guy
loadout,
does.
to positioning them effectively on the battlefield, this is where your tactical prowess must shine. You remember how to pilot a slug, don't you? Once you're tucked in, there are a few things to worry about. Armor, the vehicle's hit points, and fuel, which is spent on movement and attacks. The good thing about a slug is that you can fire all its weapons in a single turn if you have enough fuel. The bad thing is that you should eject before it blows up, Tarma. Man down?
Well,
Just do what you did in the old days and insert another coin to get your operative back in the fray. This will consume one of your reinforcements, though, so if you see that your squad is running low, make sure to prioritize missions that award reinforcements. Good job, soldiers. The battle is ours, but winning the war will take some serious skill.
Okay.
At the
This
end of every
is-
mission, you will see the experience gained by your operatives and the perks and abilities, both active and passive, you can assign to them once they gain a rank. Back at HQ,
This is a
you can
prime
spend
example
your hard-earned coins to unlock
of how
even
you
more weapons, mods,
take a
and
beloved
loadouts for your
property
next operation.
and shift its genre over effectively. Because that is the perfect setup for how to take that property and turn it into a different genre. Because it's all couched within the mechanics of the original games. What's up, buddy? Oh, you need a snack? Because I'm sorry, even the terminology there was brilliant. Use a coin, insert another coin, but you have to use the reserves. But they use the proper terminology. It's couched in the environment and the atmosphere of Metal Slug series. How can you do better than that? Look, if you're one of these giant AAA game companies, suck it, because that was proof positive how you do it right.
Definitely take some fucking notes.
Yeah, no shit. I don't even remember who makes Metal Slug games. Is that SNK?
I believe so.
Well, holy shit. Kudos to SNK for doing it right. They're not even considered one of the big boy companies.
They've been working on that one for a while.
Well, guess what? I think eventually I'm gonna have to just say, here's my money. Give me the game.
Right. It actually says their studio developer is Liker.
Oh, okay.
Liker Studio.
I wonder if they worked on any of the previous Metal Slug titles. If they didn't,
That I have no idea.
If they didn't, holy crap, they understood the assignment.
For sure. But yeah, that one I'm definitely excited for.
That looks so much fun. Oh, do you need a
I'm
little bit
just
more?
glad the demo's out.
Yeah, I gotta try that out. I personally, I understand. I don't have a lot of spare cash for games. I don't have a lot of spare time to play them, but I gotta make some time for that shit. Jesus.
Yep.
Visually, spot on with the style and the tradition of Metal Slug. That's just holy crap.
For
Take my
sure.
money.
There's this
Um,
game called Rusted Warfare, and it's an RTS game, but they had it in the style of Metal Slug, where you're commanding units and sending them to bases, and it was pretty cool. But it was like the style of Metal Slug, but it was overhead, and you're commanding your units to take out the other base.
that's cool. I really enjoy that visual style.
Hold on. I gotta show it to you. Since we're on the topic of Metal Slug, I mean, who doesn't love Metal Slug?
You know, I don't know anyone who doesn't. Even my 5-year-old, when he asks me if he can play my Data Frog, that's the game he usually plays is Metal Slug 3. It's right on the arcade drop down menu. One of the first choices. He plays it every time.
What's up, little man Daver or Dabber?
Oh, dude, I recognize that freaking airship from Metal Slug 2.
Yep. There's another
Classic.
one. Tell me that ain't cool.
I love this.
Yeah, you can have your own little Metal Slug battles. There's the army, man.
Yes. I really enjoy how they captured the aesthetic, the visual aesthetic of Metal Slug, and just brought it into this gameplay loop.
It's almost like D-Day.
Storming the beaches. Oh, that is just pure chaos.
Right.
Holy
amazing.
crap, that looks so much fun. Look, man, folks who are like me, who are a little more old school in our gaming, that is the kind of thing that if you offer us that, guess what? We're buying.
Oh, for sure. In a
We're finding
heartbeat.
a
But that's
way.
free.
That's a free game.
Well, you got to buy the game, but the mod itself is free. That's a modification for the game.
That's still beautiful.
That is all fan done.
Look, okay, yet further reason to argue in favor of what we've been talking about here the last couple shows. Let the fans make stuff. because clearly they have a passion for it, and the rest of us are willing to say, I got to buy the core game. Fuck it. Here's the money. Now let me get the modified stuff because that's what I want to play. If you tell us
Right.
that we have to buy this core set, we'll do it because we want access to what other fans have made to kind of set down on top of it. It doesn't have to, you don't have to swing your dick around and say, well, we own the rights to blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine, cool. Here's your 40 or $50, bro. Now let me have the thing I actually want to play built on the skeletal framework that you put forward. That's
Mhm.
fine. I don't mind paying for the skeleton as long as the meat, muscle, and organs get me into the gameplay loop and enjoy the core product. It's a simple thing. Just
That's why I
leave
praise
the door
mods
open.
so much, is because they allow the freedom of expression when it comes to like personal, like artistic views. Like when it comes to like a property like Metal Slug, or for instance, I'm looking at Stalker, or many other games like Fallout or any of those. And they build their own content and post it in the game. And it's like that's more reason for me to want to play the game.
Right? And like then you get to you as the game company, guess what? You get to sell the core product.
Right.
You
You're
get
gonna
to
sell
post a
more of it.
profit. Right. You get to post a profit off of work that you didn't even need to do. All you had to do was leave the modders the hell alone.
Hmm.
And the fans will come and buy the core product to get to the good stuff.
Yeah, it's like there was something I was hearing about that I guess it had to do with, what was it? Oh, Harry Potter. Apparently, there was a Gary's Mod server that had Harry Potter aesthetics to it. It was like a Harry Potter role play server essentially, but it got taken down by a cease and desist.
Of course it did.
So now the server's still up, but it's in a blacklist, like in a sense where you have to go out of your way to look for it. You can't see it on the
Mm,
regular listing of the server browser,
okay.
which is bullshit in my own opinion, because they're not make
It is.
well, I don't know. I don't know if they're not making any money from it or not, but like, oh, wait, no, I take that back. They were making money off of it. They had a VIP section in the server where you could purchase like a VIP package, well, that and cosmetics, and they were charging a lot of money for the cosmetics.
Okay. Yeah, we're into some kind of gray territory there.
Yeah.
Um,
So that I guess I can understand. But yeah, they
I
had to
still
redo
tend
the server.
I still tend to come down in favor of the modders or the creative fan community. I tend to, but I can understand the argument made from the core intellectual property owners if there is money being made. But I again turn to, hey, you're still getting money off of the core skeletal framework being sold to more people,
Right.
um, which is something you can't say for a lot of games that are just kind of left languishing.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to like people not even making a buck, but they're making like fan content of a game, and it's not even the same game. It's just like, okay, let's say XCOM 2, for instance, completely a turn-based styled game. Your characters you can customize to your heart's content, along with mods provided, of course. And let's say said mods have assets from like Warhammer that were custom made or made by the developer themselves. Well, because they look like the property, for some reason they could still have a cease and desist order say, hey, you can't do that. That's ours. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay, but they still made it by themselves out of their own hand.
right.
How can you really say that, you know?
The end product is not what you people put out there. If it were, then you'd be selling that end product yourselves.
Right. But even
As
then, it's
far
not like they're making a buck off of it.
no, and this is I'm gonna kind of do a weird segue if you'll permit me a brief
Go for it.
aside. This puts me in mind of one of my favorite companies to bash on, which is Disney.
I
Have
hate
you
Disney.
ever have you ever heard of a website and service called AO3?
Say that one more time.
It's a website called AO3.
No.
Okay, it stands for an archive of our own. AO3 is a fan fiction website, much in the same vein as fanfiction.net. Fanfiction is the practice of people creating stories, writing stories that are couched on or based on other intellectual properties and franchises. One of the most popular fan fiction bases or communities out there is Harry Potter. You mentioned it already. But another one that was popular for years and years, since the late 90s on fanfiction.net, which started in, I think, 97 or 98, was Star Wars. Now, when AO3 was launched back in 2008, or no, sorry, 2007, one of their fastest growing communities was the Star Wars AO3 sub community, where
Mm-hmm.
you had hundreds, sometimes thousands of original Star Wars fan fiction stories being written and published either daily, weekly, monthly, however it would be. You had dozens of independent, early career writers utilizing the Star Wars framework to practice the craft of narrative storytelling. And that's what fan fiction really is for most people who indulge in it. They use it as a form of practice. Colin, lift that up. No, lift that up. Sorry, give me a moment. I gotta make sure he doesn't unplug the garage door opening unit. There you go. Don't do that again. That crook is not meant for that. So you have hundreds of people who are devoted to telling stories within the confines of the Star Wars universe as previously established. They create their own original characters, they create their own original planets, sometimes they create their own original species and races. But it's made clear up front that by participating in this community, you acknowledge that you are not the owner or creator of the original copyrighted intellectual property that you are basing your work off of. None of this is to be taken as canon. That is a common understanding that everybody within these communities accepts. They say, we get it. We didn't make this stuff. We're just big fans and we want to practice telling our own stories.
Right. And there's nothing
Disney.
wrong with that. I mean, as long as
Sorry,
you're
go
not
ahead.
making a buck off of any of it, you're making your own story. It's not canon, obviously.
Yep, and they don't. There is actually on AO3 and fanfiction.net, it's in their terms of service that users may not attempt to monetize their stories because they are fan fiction and they have no legal right to try and monetize their stories.
That's about as bad as what Activision did to SM2, which was a fan project for Call of Duty. It was a combination and a collaboration of all the older Call of Duty games into one game. All the best attributes of all the games into one game.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
they were working on it for a while. They even had elements of Call of Duty Online, which is like a Chinese Call of Duty, but it had some really cool stuff in it. So they took stuff from that game and a bunch of the other games and meshed it together into something really cool. And they're working on it, and all of a sudden Activision came out of nowhere and said, "All right, well, you're using our property. We don't want you doing that. Shut it down."
Yeah, unfortunately,
But they weren't making a buck off of it.
that's the point I'm going to get to here in a moment. This is the Star Wars AO3 community and the Star Wars fanfiction.net community has been around for decades. They've been around forever. There is a character in Star Wars Rogue One, the robot or the droid.
Yep.
The droid is actually based on an AO3 Star Wars fanfiction story that had been written by a member of that Star Wars fanfic community. He's been writing Star Wars fanfic since the early days of fanfiction.net. And this droid character has featured in several of his stories. Disney sent AO3 and fanfiction.net a legal cease and desist order, and this user who created that character, who was then adapted by Disney when they wrote and produced Rogue One, he was sent a legal order requiring him to delete every story he'd written that included this character. He was understandably furious.
I wouldn't have deleted a thing. I would have took it off the website maybe, but I would have never deleted my own stories.
Here was his, and I thought this was genius. Here was his workaround. He unpublished his stories featuring that character from AO3 and fanfiction.net, and told the service host GoDaddy, "Hey, you service a lot of advertisements on our stories on your web pages.
Mm-hmm.
Disney is tortiously interfering with your capacity to earn a profit off of this material. Maybe you should make a legal argument for that." Which I thought was kind of a smart move because he's not making money off of the stories. It's the server that's the hosting service is turning a buck off of advertising that's displayed on the story.
Right.
That was, I thought, a pretty smart move. GoDaddy took Disney to court. They lost. Now, kudos to him for trying to fight back. But Disney sent their fucking army of lawyers, and GoDaddy didn't have a chance in hell.
Yeah.
And I'm left with, hey, Colin, nope, that does not go in the house. No. No. You can play with it out here, but you don't take that in the house. Growl at me all you want. That's the rule. Sorry. Yeah, try me again. But that's fine. Go ahead. You can hobby horse with it. That's fine. Where was I at? I'm sorry.
We're talking about how Disney sent an army of lawyers to
they sent a fucking fleet of lawyers like TIE fighter pilots after this guy. Just because he was enjoying writing these stories. Now Disney turns around, they steal his original creation and turn a buck off of putting that character in their movie, which they profited on at the theaters and on Blu-ray and on DVD and on streaming. So hold on a second. They get to make a buck off of somebody else's creation, but somebody else doesn't get to make a buck off of their framework? Tell me how this works. Where's the sensibility in this?
There is no.
Does that ethically make any fucking sense?
It's like, oh, well, you're using our stuff, but even though you're not making a buck off of it, we want to make the buck off of it. Even though your story is probably somewhat interesting, we want to be the one to make the money and not you.
Yeah, it was
no, dude.
Fucking infuriating. That
is garbage.
How can you do that? Now, AO3 and fiction.net, They both still have Star Wars communities on them, but there has been no new material being posted on those particular pages in like 2 years. There hasn't been a new AO3 Star Wars story published in just over 2 years. I know because I'm a member of AO3. Fanfiction.net has not had a new Star Wars story posted in close to 3 years. Again, I know because I'm a member of fanfiction.net. I have done 2 Star Wars fanfiction stories, and I've got them up on my BitChute channel, and I'm going to be re-releasing them onto my YouTube channel. I'm not a big channel at all. I don't attract a lot of attention, thank Christ. But I'm wondering, at what point will Disney decide they're going to turn their sights on anybody who makes a fan project on places like YouTube and BitChute and Rumble? Because even though those materials, those projects don't really exist on Rumble, they're all over the place here on YouTube and on BitChute. How long until a small timer like me has to look over his shoulder and say, have I got something coming from Nintendo or Disney telling me I need to stop what I'm doing?
At some point, I'm sure.
Let me tell you, man, that's gonna suck.
It's ridiculous with what they can get away with. It shouldn't
sorry to
be like
blather on.
that. But, you know, I don't know, man. It's just wild because it's like you're literally just having fun with the property. You're not even like harming the property in any way.
No. And I would in no way, shape, or form ever tell people, hey, this story that I've written, this is canon. This is what you should consider an authoritative telling of the story. Absolutely
Right.
not. I'm just dicking around. You know? The one story that I did for Star Wars, The Strength of the Way, I think I'm going to bring that to my YouTube channel in the next couple of weeks here. It is based on Mandalorian culture. It's a short story.
Weapons are my religion.
Yeah. Well, this is slightly different. It's couched on a Mandalorian planet colony that is several generations removed from the Mandalorian Wars, which we get from the Knights of the Old Republic era.
If you couldn't tell, I definitely enjoyed The Mandalorian.
Yeah, just a little bit. Seasons 1 and 2, man, they're the shit.
That's a little bit more of a modern take on The Mandalorian, but hey, I like it.
This is the way.
This is the way.
And you know, by the way, the whole you know what? I'm not going to talk about my own shit for a minute. I want to talk a little bit about this whole. Briefly, I want to talk about the nonsense, the absolute dog shit that is the Acolyte.
Oh,
I'm sure you've heard of Smilo Ren.
Yeah.
Smilo Ren, the quote unquote Sith warrior with the jagged teeth, smiling helmet. People have asked, why do so many Sith or Sith lords wear these helmets? If that question comes out of your mouth, you are telling me you do not understand any Star Wars material before Disney got their hands on it.
Right.
The Sith, modern Sith warriors and lords, mostly wear the helmets as an acknowledgement of the absolute terror that the Mandalorian peoples inflicted upon the galaxies under the banner of the Republic when they brought war to their doorstep. Because in the Mandalorian culture and religion, a warrior wears their helmet at all times because
Follow
they are
Mandalore.
ready for battle. They are ready for battle at all times. You only remove your helmet when you are among clan, That's it. And only then, when it's absolutely vital, to remove your helmet so that you can eat, so that you can bathe. But you only do that when you are in the presence of your own people. If you are out amongst the general public, amongst other peoples, you order your food, you get your food, you take it someplace private, you sit alone, you box yourself in, and then you can remove the helmet in order to eat, but then you put it back on before you are seen by another non Mandalorian. That is the culture.
Correct.
The Sith Lords of the modern era, quote unquote, they found that to be devastatingly effective in inflicting fear upon their enemies. That element of inflicting fear, that is a source of power for the dark side. They saw that as useful to their own ideology, and so they adopted it. But that is known to those of us who were old school fans of Star Wars and understand the history and the relevance of the time period of the Old Republic and what the Mandalorians mean to modern Sith. Against the Sith of the day, Mandalorians were seen as almost an equal on the battlefield because they would go scorched earth and even kill their own people if it meant destroying the enemy. That is a concept that the Sith would find almost worthy of a head nod of respect. That's why modern Sith Lords wear the helmets, other than Darth Vader, who uses this helmet because it's part of his life support system.
Yeah, he
If you
has to have
don't,
it.
if you don't understand that, you're a Disney pixie duster, and I don't want to hear your opinion on Star Wars.
Correct.
Sorry, rant over.
No, I mean, I 100% agree, you know. When it comes down to it, I mean, it's not really hard to explain that it was adapted from the Mandalore culture, you know. It's just, I don't know, man. It just feels like they want to play pretend, but in the Star Wars universe and just make it up as they go. And then just
Yep.
like denouncing elements that are already put there in lore reasons and just be like, nope, we're doing it our way. Fuck you. It's our way.
And I've even seen a couple of these pixie dusters trying to say, well, the original Sith race, the original Sith species, they had to wear, spacesuits and armor and helmets in order to interact with other species closer to the inner core of the galactic rim. So, they would have
There you go.
armor too. I'm sorry, the original Sith race, the original Sith species, which is part of the EU legends that you ignore anyway. Yuck. Uh oh. Oh, damn it. I think the dog made a mess in the house.
Oh. Oh
Yeah,
shit! Literally.
well, it's something that the boys have taken to saying is when the dog has an accident in the house, they'll say yuck. I hear him say yuck. Oh, damn it. Okay, I'll be back in a minute.
All right, man.
Quite literally, shit.
I had a
Yeah,
feeling.
it's my bad. It's my fault. I didn't take the dog out. This is my fault. This is not the dog's fault. Hey, thanks for the heads up. Yeah, I can't get mad at the dog for that. That was my stupid mistake. God damn it. Bad dad dog. Or bad dog dad. I'm a schmuck. Dude.
That's Karn the Betrayer of the World Eaters. And that's a chain axe that he has.
Yeah, yeah. Man, I love the artwork.
Yeah, I've got quite a few of these in here now.
Yeah, you shared with me like that set of images on
There's
Discord.
the Steel Legion, the Imperial Guard. Those are normal people, by the way.
I was like, are those normal humans?
Yep. They're fighting against orcs.
Holy shit. Yo,
Yep.
these guys have like no chance in a one-on-one against those things.
No. That's what they do. They make up in numbers.
I suppose you'd have to.
Well, that and tanks. You got feedback, by the way.
Oh, do I?
Yeah, like audio from your internal mic and your speaker.
Yeah.
There's a Death Corpse of Krieg. I can hear myself.
How are you hearing yourself? I've still got the
I can hear myself.
shit. Sound settings.
Hello? I didn't hear myself that time.
My
Hello?
input and output are still showing that it's on my earpiece. Oh, but I'm okay. My earpiece is low battery, so it's probably flickering.
Yeah, look at the height difference between humans and space marines.
You've shown me this one before to demonstrate that. It's
Yeah.
fucking A. But anywho, dude, I am thinking we should wrap here in a minute because I gotta get lunch in for the buddy boy and for myself. Start getting ready
I
for
was
work.
probably gonna go play some Elden Ring.
Cool.
Yep.
So, do we have any game plan for deep diving into next Wednesday? Or sorry, not next Wednesday. Sorry, next Thursday. Brief aside for those of you, only a few folks who do follow us when we do deep dives on Wednesdays. Next week, our deep dive is actually going to be on Thursday, as I will not have access to my computer. My wife has to take it with her to her job. They're closing down her store on Tuesday. She has to do administration stuff next Wednesday, but they'll already have their store computer moved to its new location. So she's going to take this with her so she can do close down final procedures administratively, with the laptop. But
Right.
so we'll be on deep dive next Thursday, and then Culling the Nerd next Friday.
We still got to iron out the details.
Yeah, and we'll do that kind of as we go here over the course of the day today and tomorrow. I imagine just chit chatting privately, but we will
We'll
be
figure
on.
something out.
Yeah, we will be on deep dive next Thursday, as opposed to next Wednesday.
Yep.
Any final words, brother?
Keep being nerds, stay true to your lore, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Boy, howdy, yes, true. And if you are a nerd, a geek, a fan of any of these properties, any of these fandoms that have been kept alive by us, the fans, for decades, and you have an inclination to get involved artistically to create either visual artwork or indie games based on those properties, or mods, or if you want to tell stories or write poems or plays or fan films, don't be discouraged by people like Disney and Nintendo coming in there
Or
and
Games
trying
Workshop.
to Games Workshop coming in and trying to squash you underfoot. Because at the end of the day, without the fans, these properties would not carry on and would not exist. They can send you cease and desist orders. They can send you legal requests and requirements that you not make money off of it. But sometimes making the money does not have to be the purpose of art. Art and culture exist in order to give us a purpose and to give us a source for conversation, for philosophical musings, and for just entertainment purposes. It can be as simple as, yeah, this is just going to be fun. If you're not having fun, then you're doing it wrong.
Exactly.
Guess what, Disney? Guess what, Games Workshop? Guess what, Nintendo, even? You're not having fun anymore. So what are you doing?
Not having fun. You're just being a dictator, a literal dictator.
Dictator.
Yep. But I mean, the only thing I'm going to say about that is when it comes to all these properties, even though even like video games, not everybody's going to like the same video game, but you're having fun and that's the point. Right? So
Should be, yeah.
just because these companies don't like the way I like it, is the true way with lore, doesn't mean I'm going to let them dictate how I feel about it. So, same could be applied. That's all I'm saying.
Boy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Culling the Nerd with our host, Cortex.
ByronofSidius.
Co-host. Sorry to kind of monopolize so much of the airtime again, brother.
No, you're good.
But anywho, we out.
Yep, we're out of here.
You know, buddy, you're going to ruin your lunch eating snacks like that.